What is the most important factor preventing you from fulfilling your potential at work? In this video, I'm sharing with you a scientific, foolproof approach to impress your boss, gain admiration from colleagues, be promoted quickly, and achieve industry recognition in no time. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I'm just very happy to have you here. I hope you are doing fantastic and marvelous as usual. If you are, as I am, grab a cup of coffee or tea, make yourself comfortable, drink some vodka, and let's roll. Today, I want to talk to you about a very wonderful approach, foolproof approach to impress your boss, gain admiration from colleagues, be promoted at work quickly, and achieve industry recognition in no time. Let's jump right into it. Now, before we start, as always, we want to give a wonderful fan shout out to our fans and listeners, our viewers all over the United States and throughout the world. Gavin Tate in Scotts Mill, Oregon. We love you. Scotts Mills. We love you and your family. Thanks for supporting us. Ellie Bauer in Tumalo, Oregon. We love you. We love your family. Mallory Carr, Pistol River in the beautiful state of Oregon. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate the support and we love all the comments and all the shares or the likes that you have brought to our channel. Let's jump right into it now. The first thing I want to talk about here is how to impress your boss at work without sucking up. Now, this is very important, and the best way to do this is to have a scientific approach, right? Your boss is a human being as everybody else. At least I hope. I hope you're not reporting to a robot. I mean, who knows? The first thing you want to do is know your boss. And you need to gather some intel on your boss. You want to have your boss CV. Now, I'm not asking you to sort of peek into your boss's privacy here, but there are ways to finally know exactly your boss's professional profile. A very good way to do this is online, right? Go to the website, go to LinkedIn. Chances are you are among his contacts or her contacts, and you want to peek into your boss, really know where he went to school or where she went to school, the kind of job he or she had before being your boss, and sort of map a precise idea of your boss's professional roadmap. And this is very important because by looking at your boss's professional roadmap, you can tell exactly what kind of achievements he or she has made in the past, what kind of achievements he or she is pursuing, and that would allow you to understand whom you are dealing with. And this is very important. One thing you want to sort of look into when you dig into what a resume actually gives you here is a resume conveys information to anybody, to a viewer, information about the person's abilities, information about the person's opportunities. I call it a SWOT analysis, right? Whether it is a CV or a resume, for me, this is a SWOT analysis of a person. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is a marketing concept that I use a lot when it comes to career management, because you can identify by looking at somebody's resume their strengths, their abilities, right? The opportunities that align with their strengths. You can also determine based on the resume what kind of threats, what kind of weaknesses they have based on trends in the job market. And the reason why you want to look into your boss's resume is because, as I said before, you want to know what moves this person. You want to understand what's really making them wake up in the morning or making changes to their career. You want to identify their professional goals. The professional goals, professional goal is very important, because that's the fire that's burning in your boss's heart. That's what's making her or him move in the morning. The next thing you want to look into is which professional circles, which professional networks your bosses, like, where does your boss hang out at? What are the areas? What are the professional bodies that he or she is into? If you, for instance, if you are in the finance industry or you are an accountant, is your boss also a CPA? Is he or she a CPA? Is he or she part of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, the AICPA, for instance? So that will sort of give you an idea of where your boss is headed in terms of professional ambition. The next thing that you want to really pick into, and again, this is purely legal, you're not breaching any privacy rights laws here. At least I hope so. You want to get a lawyer first. Don't say that Sweetie Kiwi told you. But what's really the next thing you want to pay attention to is you want to study your boss's passions. You want to know what he or she does in her private time. Is she part of? Does she have any causes that she's very interested into? Does she have any philanthropies that she is involved in? Those are very important, because your boss has a human part that is separate from the professional part, and you want to see both parts of the coin, right? Because to seize up someone, to understand what drives someone, to understand what really motivates and steers someone towards action, you need to know not only the qualitative aspect, but also the quantitative aspect. Let me restate that. You want to know the quantitative aspect first, and then the qualitative aspect. So when you have those two aspects, you know exactly what's happening. So the bottom line here is that for you, the stakes are high. The stakes are very high, because if you want to impress your boss, you need to know whom you want to impress. And you might say, well, my involvement can be beneficial here, or it is not really sure. I'm not really sure that I will get what I want to achieve. Either way, whether you want it or not, it's always beneficial. It's always conducive to you to search to understand the person you're reporting to. I look at bosses and subordinate relationship as a traditional relationship where you have to know your partner. Of course, here we don't have any romantic sort of correlation or interrelation here, but chances are, the same concept that we have in romance apply here, because at the end of the day, you are dealing with somebody who is a human. Again, I hope you are reporting to a human being. So you want to establish a deeper bond with the person, because that's going to influence your prospects of a future promotion. And this is where, of course, impressing your boss want to lead to, right? You want to impress your boss to be promoted, to earn, to make more money, to increase your stature at work, to increase your stature in the department. So know your boss. This is very important, and this is the first aspect. This is the first step you want to cross in your way to impressing your boss. We will be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another section of Sweetie Kiwi. This is the second section, and I'm just pumped up this morning. I'm just so pumped up right now. I just love this topic about career management, and we are talking about ways to impress your boss. At first, I was advising you to know your boss's professional path. You want to dig into his or her resume. In the second section, I want you to support your boss's priorities, right? You want to really be your boss's number one supporter. And this is very important, because if you want your boss to support you, he or she must see that the inverse applies, that the inverse is valid, that you got his or her back. And this is very important, folks, because at the end of the day, who doesn't like to be supported? Who doesn't want to have a supported in their ranks? So how do you go about supporting your boss's priorities? Number one, day-to-day tasks. Let me repeat that. Day-to-day tasks. The first thing you want to show is that your boss comes before everything else. When he or she's not around, when she's not in the office, when he's not in the office, you want to step in and represent. You want to have this ability to cover for your boss when he or she is not in the office. So you want to support her or his priorities through day-to-day tasks. That means, for instance, accepting late assignments, accepting to come early in the morning, last-minute trips, all this kind of stuff. If your boss can't do it, or if your boss sort of notifies you that this is a very important element in the department's effort to move forward, those are things that you cannot say no to. You can't say no to those to those priorities. So support your boss through your day-to-day tasks. An important element here is the second element here is special projects. Now, special projects are special in many ways. They are unusual in nature, right? And they are infrequent in occurrence. They don't happen that often. They are things that they are special also in the sense that they highlight potential talent. They show to senior management that this person is special. So think about it this way. People who work on special projects are special people. And special people, special employees usually end up in the special suite. And the special suite, everybody knows, is the C-suite, right? That's where the big cash has been made. That's where all the decisions are made. This is where you get the corner office. You have the best offices in the building. So special projects are things like you have a mergers and acquisition, a company is being bought or sold, and there has to be some kind of integration at the IT level, at the human resource level, at many levels. You have a lot of things happening, and those special projects allow you to shine, right? This is your opportunity to shine. This is your opportunity to make your boss shine, not just you, but to make your boss shine. Are we on the same page here? So the bottom line here is you want to get that. So mergers and acquisition, another example of a special project is, for instance, you have a new software that's been deployed, that's been rolled out company-wide, right? So all the processes must be updated. A lot of stuff is happening, and they need a champion in every department, right? So your boss wants you to take charge of that particular task, that special task, which means sometimes you're going to have to leave the office, right, on Friday at 8 p.m. So when everybody is having happy hour, just relaxing and just enjoying the latest vodka, right? You are in the office just grinding through work that sometimes is not really interesting. It's boring, right? But remember, you are sowing the seeds for a future glory, for a future professional glory. What's happening here is that you are showing your boss that you care about his or her priorities. And that's the bottom line here. The third thing is to really impress your boss, you got to care about the departmental reputation. You have to constantly polish your department's reputation. What's really important here is that your boss and you are part of a family, are part of a unit, and senior management at your company call that unit a department or a sub-department. And what's really important is that every department in companies, every department has to polish its own reputation, and the reputation can carry you far, can carry not only you but also your bosses really far. So if you want to give your boss the impression that you've got his or her back, one of the top things to do is to always make sure the reputation of the department is very, 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 very polished, very clean, very, very perfect. And this is where the big decisions are made. This is where the promotion, the future promotion, the potential promotion comes. Are we on the same page here? We are on the same page, right? And this is the kind of stuff that allows you to shine. You want to know your boss's priorities. The first three items, the day-to-day tasks, special projects, departmental reputation, those are related to work. The last two items I'm going to talk about here relate to private lives, and you want to know your boss's passion. You want to know things like sports, which team he or she is in, which charity he or she supports. And I'm not talking about just a superficial interest here. You want to really get into the nitty-gritty of that passion. You want to understand, you want to research it. For instance, if your boss is into football, you want to know the team, you want to know the latest trends, you want to know the off-season stats, you want to really get into these things. Now, if this is not your field, find something else. Find something where you are able to talk to your boss passionately, right? Because the last thing you want is to fake it, right? If you start faking stuff, guess what? Your promotion might also be faked, right? your promotion letter might be a fake one. So always use integrity, always be forthright when dealing with people. I always recommend to have honesty as the number one, the cornerstone of human relationships. Whether you're dealing with a private partner or a professional partner, a business partner, whatever it is, be honest, be straightforward, be forthright, be forthcoming with the other person you're dealing with. So the important thing here is that you want to find a common passion that you share with your boss and have conversations and have great conversations around that passion. Another thing you need to know, which is really, really important, and that's a secret. Well, not really a secret. Maybe a secret, maybe not. Well, we'll see. You want to collect trivia facts about your boss. You want to really know his or her birthday, whether he or she has kids, family information, spouse, birthday event, work anniversary. Little things that might be a little to you, but go a long way towards establishing you as the number one person your boss can rely on when he or she is not in the office. See, decisions get made not rationally, but irrationally, emotionally. That's how decisions are made. Big deals in the corporate world nowadays those deals are not signed in the confines of executive conference rooms. No, they're signed on golf courts. Hello? Did you hear that? Those deals are signed on golf courts. So similarly, likewise, what's happening here is that for your boss to promote you, at the end of the day, part of the decision is coming from emotional, irrational stuff. Those things that he or she will think about you that will make her or him happy about you, confident about you. So know your boss, know the trivia facts, know the birthdays, the kids, the spouse, the work anniversary. And please, on those events, those special events, send a gift. Send him or her a gift. Again, the idea here is not to suck up to your boss, right? The idea is to be genuine. The idea is to be honest, to say, listen, I'm trying to establish a good working relation. I'm trying to establish a great and excellent rapport with you, because I know that my progress in this company depends on you, partially at least. And I'm trying to improve the relationships. It's open, it's clear, it's honest, it's very targeted. And this is the key to success. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another section of a Sweetie Kiwi show, the world's largest entertainment show. I'm very happy to still have you with us. Are you still on coffee? Are you just enjoying this content so far? If you are, and I think you are, please take a moment to comment below. Give us your impression about your insights, your tips on impressing your manager. How were you able to impress your manager before? Have you been promoted recently? Have you when was the last time you were promoted? Give us some tips and tricks into how the game is played, how you were able to advance in your career. We would love to know more about that and spread the wealth, spread the info. Also, if you get a chance, share this info. If you think someone needs this at this very moment, wants to be promoted, is kind of stuck at work, share this info, like it, subscribe it, and do everything else. Like it, and we will love you right back. Third element here. We've talked about how to impress your boss by supporting his or her priorities, right? How you can impress her or him by knowing him or her professionally, looking into his or her resume. The third thing I want you to pay attention to is to control your image at work. Now, this is very important, but before I just dig into the image at work, let me quickly just acknowledge wonderful fans, viewers, and listeners in the whole United States. We are here today, and we want to acknowledge Craig Pitts, Billy Barron, and Kaylee Mendoza, all of whom are in Wyoming. We just love you. We appreciate your support. We appreciate all the wonderful comments you leave us. We appreciate that, and we thank you for your constant support. I believe Craig Pitts, Billy Barron, and Kaylee Mendoza are in Wyoming. They hail from LaGrange, Wilson, and Reiner. Thank you so much. Let's go back to controlling the image. Now, how do you control your image? The first thing you want to do is always arrive early at work and always leave late. Now, I know this is a kind of cliche, but it is true. You want to arrive early before your boss, hopefully, and you want to leave late after your boss. Because what's happening here is that you're sending a message to your boss that, listen, you care. I care about the work. I care about you. I care about your priorities, and I'm willing to work extra to help you. Now, this is a decision that is personal because it implies that you have a specific definition of what work-life balance means to you, right? Working late is not always recommended, but sometimes in life you have to risk something to win something. So I believe that at some point in anybody's career, it is important to make that sacrifice where you have to work 10 hours every day for a short period. Some companies have this sort of seasonality where you have a normal schedule during the rest of the year, but in particular periods, you have to work extra. For instance, accountants and finance people have this monthly closing cycles where they have to work sometimes 12-hour days. The bottom line here is that you want to control your image and tell your boss, listen, I care about the work we are doing here, and I support you, and I'm going to leave late and I'm going to come early to show you that I care about the work. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to happy hour, right? I love happy hours. I love them. But the bottom line here is you got to strike a good balance. You have to show your boss that you are operationally in tune with his or her goals. And that's what we want to establish here: operational harmony and professional synergy. Operational harmony in the sense that you are telling your boss, listen, my goals, my personal goals and professional goals align with your goals, right? And professional synergy means that you see eye to eye to what's critical at a particular point in time. Another thing you have to do to control your image is to dress well. Dress well. I cannot emphasize this enough. Now, the dress code is really something that is idiosyncratic to the company you work in, right? This is not something that will be generic, will not be general. Every company has a dress code. Of course, if you work in Silicon Valley, there is a dress code that is expected or at least anticipated from you, and that dress code is totally different from work in the financial institution. If you work on Wall Street, you can't dress the same way you would be dressing if you work for Google, for instance, right? The bottom line here is you want to dress well, and dressing well means you dress in accordance with the directives that your company has published, with the HR directives in terms of dress codes. A lot of big companies, if not all big companies and mid-sized companies, publish dress code directives and instructions that employees have to follow. Now, if you have a small business, you can still, depending on your industry, right, publish some directives and instructions that employees have to follow. The bottom line here is, if you want to impress your boss, you have to stick to a certain dress code. Another thing that is also critical is the behavior in the office. You have to behave professionally in the office. Behaving in the office professionally is very important. You want to be seen as a future boss, you better start acting as a boss, right? You have to fake it until you make it, right? If you start walking around and laughing as if you were in your bathroom at home, or having jokes, speaking over other people, screaming on the phone, that kind of stuff, those are things that do not establish a good posture, a good professional posture. Those things don't project a good professional posture for you, and chances are you're not getting the job you want. So that's very important. The fourth thing you have to pay attention to is the use of the computer. Work computer, it has to be used professionally. You want to ban the use of Facebook and other social media. You don't want to log into your Facebook, your LinkedIn account at work, even if the company doesn't have some sort of blocks, some sort of barriers. It's all about image, and it's all about perception. And if your boss just kind of catches you once, because all you need is just one time blame for him or her to change his or her perception of you. So if you have to check your social media profile, please do so on your phone. Never use work computer for unprofessional things or things that are not related to your job, right? I mean, some positions in some job categories, you have to use internet, right? You have to, if you're a salesperson, for example, there are things you have to do some research on prospects, on leads, on potential customers, and that kind of stuff. So those processes require access to internet. But if you are in a field where no internet access is needed and everything you need is already found in the company intranet, then don't use the PC unprofessionally. Another thing that is very important, that I found very important, is to be positive and honest. Like I said before, positivity is kind of it's just wonderful, right? To have an honest person, a positive person, a cheerleader that will help you, your goals, it will help you be promoted. And the last thing here is you want to leave your luggage at home. You want to leave all the issues, the personal matters, things that are happening in your family, in your relationship. Leave all those things at home. Because everybody has problems. Everybody has issues. Everybody has their own luggage. And nobody really wants to hear somebody else's luggage, because work must only focus on work. People at work should focus on at work. If you have a problem, if you have a situation, a low situation, stay home. Just call off. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to the fourth section of this wonderful topic. I hope you're learning something out of it, and that this topic is adding value to your career, and that very soon you can apply some of the tips and tricks we are giving you here, and you can use those tips and tricks to advance your career, get promoted, be appreciated from your colleagues, be appreciated from your boss, impress your boss. If you do, if the content is adding value to you so far, please like it, subscribe. We always appreciate people who share our content. Comment below, give us more insight about what you think about impressing your a manager. If you have tips and tricks that we have not covered, please share with the rest of the community, the Sweetie Kiwi community. We will appreciate that. Now, let's get into something interesting. Again, we are talking about the ultimate guide on how to impress your boss, gain admiration from colleagues, be promoted quickly, and achieve industry recognition. We talked earlier we had a conversation about how to impress your boss by knowing your boss' professional path, right? You want to know his or her resume and info on that resume, professional goals. You also want to know her priorities and his priorities and support those. The third thing I talked about was to control your image. The fourth thing here is you want to control your performance perception. So image, now we want to focus on perception of your performance. Are you working hard? Are you are you really strong in terms of performance, or are you falling back? Now, how do you qualify that? How do you evaluate that? The first thing is you want to always meet or beat your deadlines. Always. That has to be the number one, the method, the methodical strategy, the methodical roadmap you have to follow. Always meet and beat your deadline. Are you with me? Are you with me? Are you with me? You want to meet and beat the deadline. That will establish in your boss's mind that you are a stellar achiever. You are a unique achiever. That will solidify in his or her mindset that you mean business. And leaders mean business. Managers mean business. Subordinates just mean, I don't even know what they mean. They probably mean half business, or 3/4 of business, 1/2 of business, 1/4. But you want to establish that kind of thing. Now, it's not always easy to beat deadlines, right? Sometimes you will beat them, sometimes not. But if you just think about and have it in the back of your mind, the vision of always beating your deadlines, that will help you a long way. And the sweet spot here is 70 to 90%. So out of 10 tasks that you have, you beat the deadlines on 7 or 8. And that's where you really have a wonderful spot, a sweet spot that sends the strong message to management that, you know what, he or she would better promote you soon. Another thing you want to pay attention to is your intel on the industry. You want to keep up with the industry. You want to look around and dig data, trends, things that are really important here. They're important to your job, they're important to your company, and they're important to your department. This is how you collect intel on the industry. Let's start again. So you want to have a bottom-up. You can have a bottom-up approach or a top-down approach. Bottom-up will be you start with your department, things that are critical to your department, and then you move on things that are important to your company, and then you move on to things that are important to the overall economy, particularly your job title, your job category. That's the bottom-up approach. Or you can do the inverse and that would be called a top-down approach. So you start with the overall economy and how your particular job category fits in the overall economy at a particular moment in time. You scroll down the analysis onto your company situation and then onto your department. Either way, keeping up with the industry will help you a lot, knowing what's available out there for you in case things happen, right? Because you never know. The thing is, you are working on being promoted at work, but what if things don't work out the way you anticipated them? You always got to have a backup plan, right? You need to have a backup plan, because if there is an opportunity elsewhere and you can just maybe be promoted elsewhere or starting a new job, but then it's always good to know. So keep up with the industry. The third thing you want to implement to show your boss that you really mean business is to help colleagues and be proactive. You want to support your colleagues all the time. This is very important, folks. You want to be seen as the go-to person when colleagues need help. And helping people not only has a great karmic element, but it goes a long way towards helping you reach your goals of becoming a manager, because your boss will see that your colleagues will have respect for you. They will have admiration for you. They will appreciate having you around because of your aura of chemistry, of your aura of empathy, of your aura of sympathy. And those things are very critical. This is the quintessential way for you to move up faster. Another thing that you want to pay attention to is when it comes to problems, you want to be the solutions provider. Adopt a solution mindset as opposed to a problem mindset. Are you with me? We're talking about solution mindset, folks. Solution. We want solution. No problem. Problems will always be around. Think about it. Problems will always be around, but we want solutions. Be the person, be the girl or the guy who always thinks about solution. Whenever there is a problem, you automatically shift your mental posture and start thinking about solution. Everybody loves a solutions provider. Everybody loves that, and never turns down assignments. I said earlier that you want to come early and leave late. You want to arrive early in the office and leave late. This is another big no-no. Never turn down an assignment. Turning down an assignment is a big no-no, because it runs counter to the original goal of supporting your boss's priorities, right? We talked about if you want to be promoted, you want to support your boss's priorities, and your boss's priorities is to get a job done, particularly an extra job done. You can't turn that down. Doesn't look good. Another thing that is very important for you to do early on, so you establish your stature as a promotable, as a promotion potential person. The 3P, remember? Promotion potential person. Where did that come from? I'm just inspired today. Promotion potential personality. PPP. I like that. To establish yourself, what you want to do is you want to keep track of your work. You want to keep track of the work. You want to keep track of all. Remember, we talked about you want to have this. You want to have a 70% or 60% or 80% of beating your goals, like always beating your deadlines. You want to keep track of those. Whenever you beat a deadline, make a note to yourself. This is critical, because this is when you are going to negotiate a higher salary and a promotion when in December, when you have some performance evaluation meetings with HR and your boss. You want to go fully prepared with everything documented, so you know exactly how to construct a strong argument. You are the best lawyer for yourself. You are the person who is going to convince your boss that you deserve the 100K, the 200K, the 300K, the 1 million bonus that you are asking for, you are the only one who should vouch for yourself, right? So keep track of your work. And another thing that is also important here is you want to show a long-term interest in your company. You want to show that you are going to stick around for a long time. You're not just a temporary show. You're not just a seasonal person. You are here to stay. And everybody loves stability. Everybody loves long-term stability. Everybody loves long-term commitment, right? So show your boss that you have a long-term interest in your company. We'll be right back right after this small message. Welcome back, folks, to another section of Sweetie Kiwi, the world's largest infotainment show, the funniest show, the most relevant show. I hope you are still with us and you are finding this content very valuable. As for me, I feel very comfortable here. I feel wonderful. What about you guys? Do you feel comfortable? Yeah? All right, that sounds good. Let's roll. The fifth element here that I want you to focus on is if you want to make your colleagues like you more. In the first section, we talked about your boss. Now, you want to focus on your colleagues. If you want to make your colleagues love you more, because remember, the title of today's conversation of this show is how to impress your boss, gain admirations from colleagues, be promoted quickly, and achieve industry recognition. So we talked about how to impress the boss. Now we want to talk about how to impress your colleagues, right? The first thing you want to do is you want to help them professionally. You want to help your colleagues professionally. And you want to lend a helping hand whenever possible. Whenever possible. Be the person people will go to. I think I mentioned that earlier, that you want to be the person who always lends a helping hand. And again, beyond the basic karmic advantage of helping others, you also have another advantage, which is that your boss, people talk, right? People talk in the office. People will know that, Michael or Jane or whoever is always there to help. And people love helpers, and people love helping those who help. So you want to lend a helping hand whenever possible. This could be on a project. This could be on a special project. This could be on a normal task. This could be, for instance, you staying late in the office because you see a colleague who is struggling to turn in some project or some paper very early. It's whatever the case is. Perception is very important. And I bet you that the colleague that you helped in a moment of doubts, uncertainty, in a moment of, I would say, stress, that colleague will never forget you. He or she will never forget the gesture that you displayed on that particular day. And this is how you start building goodwill in the office. This is how you actually start making sure, start recruiting actually allies in the office. The second thing you want to do is you always want to give credit to your colleagues. If you want your colleagues to respect you and find you wonderful and sympathetic or empathetic, if you want to establish that kind of professional synergy or operational harmony with your colleague, you want to give them credit, especially in front of your boss, because it's very interesting to give credit to colleagues in front of people who don't really matter. Don't get me wrong. I mean, quote unquote, people who don't matter, right? If you talk to your coworkers or your subordinates, your own subordinates, and you give credit to colleagues in front of those staff, this credit doesn't carry the same weight as if you were giving credit to someone in front of a person who is up in the hierarchy. So if you give credit to your colleagues in front of your boss, that will make your colleagues feel very comfortable and very happy. Another thing you want to always also think about doing is, when suitable, try to provide advice about the industry, about the job, about the task. So shift from being someone who helps to being someone who provides advice. You are a counselor, you are a coach, you are a mentor, right? This sort of establishes you as what? A thought leader. I mean, I love that word, by the way. Thought leader. Somebody's a leader of thoughts. Does it mean you're a leader of thoughts or a leader in thoughts? Thought leadership. Well, I want you to be a thought leader today. Be a thought leader at work. Be a thought leader in your department. Provide advice about a particular task, right? What's going on in the industry? What's going on in the job? Be the person people call on. Would you do that for me? Can you do that? Please do. Very happy. Do that. And when you do this, what will happen here is that you will catch the attention of senior management, including your boss, because your colleagues not only like you, but again, people talk in the office, right? So whatever you do, a good deed is never lost. It carries karmic implications, positive karmic implications, and in the specific context of workplace interrelationships, it can help you move forward. It can help you get you ahead. Another thing you want to have is you want to establish yourself as, this is optional because not everybody has the skill set required for it. So I would put it in the optional category. That is, be the go-to person when it comes to mediation and conflict resolution. If you can't do this, it's okay. As long as you are the person helping others, you are the person who provides advice on the industry, the job, or the task, that's good. But if you have a strong level of emotional intelligence, or you have a background in conflict resolution or mediation, and you know how to talk, you have the certain charisma, you are good with words, I would advise you to be the go-to person when it comes to mediation and conflict resolution, because everybody will always remember you as the solutions provider. Remember, we want to establish you as a solutions provider, so you can always give advice when needed. Another thing that is, for me at least, is a big no-no. It's actually the biggest no-no. Big no-no. Never speak ill of a coworker, and never engage in gossip. Never engage in office gossip, and never speak ill of a coworker. I mean, this is just crazy. This is amazingly detrimental. This could be deleterious to your career, not just in terms of your immediate promotion, but also for your long-term career. Remember, gossiping about a coworker, I mean, if you're talking ill about a coworker, you're probably talking about that person to another coworker or to another person. Now, that person you are talking to will have a certain idea of you, and people judge people not based on what they're saying, but based on what they are doing. For instance, if you come to me and talk to me inappropriately about my colleague, another colleague, I'll be thinking, this is kind of creepy. What are you going to say about me to other people, right? Because this is how most people judge individuals, that judge other people when it comes to human relationships. Most people judge based on actions, not based on what you're saying. So never engage in office gossip and never speak ill of other colleagues. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another section of this wonderful topic. We're conversing about the ways to impress colleagues, ways to make your boss like you. And before we dig into the next section, I want to quickly give a shout out to our lovely fans and viewers and listeners, you name it. I have Benjamin Carr in Calgary, Alberta. That's Canada. We love you. Oh, wow. We have supporters in Canada. This is wonderful. We have Skylar Collins in Edmonton, also Alberta, province of Alberta in Canada. Wonderful, Skylar. Thank you so much. And the third fan that we love so much today, we want to give a shout out to, is Layla Hopkins in Red Deer, Canada, Alberta. Thank you so much, Benjamin, Skylar, and Layla, and your families. We love you. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much. If you also find this content valuable so far, and you're learning a lot of stuff, and you want to support us, you can do so by dropping us a comment. You can send us a mail. We will put the direct mail onto the screen. You can share our contact with others who might also benefit from the content. You might like, subscribe, comment, love, and we will love you back. I want to make a strong case for knowing your colleagues personally. Now, I've always championed the idea that office friendship is very important. I know a lot of folks are against that idea, right? So people say a friendship in the office sets the stage for unnecessary issues down the road, and it encourages businesses and employees to take the plunge to go too formal. People start using very casual words toward each other and that kind of stuff. I believe this is just complete, nonsense. Believe me. I mean, I think that human beings are engaged in human relationships, and people know boundaries. People know that we can be friends outside, but when it comes to work, this is how I make money. This is how I support my family. People can establish a boundary of seriousness here. So you can always have a good relationship with your colleagues and still maintain a serious aura of professionalism. So I make the case that it is important that if you don't think that way, I want you to have a change of heart. And I urge you to reconsider the way you look at relationships with your colleagues. I want you to know your colleagues personally. Now, I'm not advising you to know all of them professionally, personally, but pick 2 or 3, right? The goal is to form a small coterie of colleagues, of coworkers with whom you are comfortable, right? With whom you share something, with whom you have some common denominators, whether in life, professionally, socially, whatever, right? So know your colleagues personally. Why do I keep saying professionally here? They are already professional. There is already a professional bond. Your colleagues, duh. Well, the first way to know your colleagues personally is to know their birthdays and family situation. Family status it's always important. Kids, spouse, especially kids. You want to have clearly identified things like the names of the kids, their birthdays, what kind of sports the kids are playing, what kind of musical instruments the kids are playing. This information is like gold. This is great intel on your colleagues, and this is intel that they are giving you. Now, if you want to establish a deeper bond with someone, especially at work, and that person is volunteering that data and sharing that data with you voluntarily, you have a step. You have a foot in the door that leads to their heart. And I don't care what people say. If you have a close connection with someone at work, that person will back you up. That person will get your back, will cover you at the right moment. And that's what we want, right? So know their birthday and family situations. The second thing is you want to bond with them by finding common interest. It's very important, right? You want to identify what the person likes in their private lives, that kind of stuff. Common interest. Are they into what? Are they into knitting? Are they into sewing? Are they into football, baseball? Are they into, you name it, right? Are they into having crazy conversations on Friday night about what if, about the world, about peace and kumbaya, peace and love? Do they love psychedelic music? This is important because it allows you to find a common denominator with the person and establish potentially a bond that will help you be promoted, that will help you increase your stature at work. Another thing is that if possible, you might want to engage in extra professional activities together with colleagues, right? Extra professional is just a fancy word that means activities outside the workplace. So if it's possible, if you have some kind of common denominator with someone and you share a cause that is near and dear to your heart, or your children are playing football together, or you yourself like to play football, engage in extra professional activities together. That helps you know the person outside the workplace. Now, a lot of companies do that kind of stuff, right? And they call it team bonding. So I really don't like the team bonding thing, because team bonding means that there was not a bond in the first place in the team. I call it team camaraderie improvement. TCI. TCI. Well, team bonding is kind of cool too. Team bonding is fine. So the thing here is you want to do something with that person, with your colleagues outside of work, so that you can establish the kind of camaraderie that is important. Now, I'm not talking about happy hour, because happy hour is kind of cool, right? We can have breakfast together. We can go in the pantry together. We can go in the cafeteria together and just exchange some sort of niceties about work, about everything else. But when you spend an afternoon with someone on a Saturday afternoon, spend an afternoon on Saturday afternoon, what kind of tautology is that? When you spend an afternoon with someone, say on a Saturday or a Sunday, the bond is stronger than when you spend 2 hours having dinner or drinking in a happy hour session with that person. So it's up to you. Look at what works for you and apply that. Another thing you want to do is, which leads me to what I said before, is you want to organize team bonding activities. Now, team bonding activities are important, yes, but they have the advantage that the company might actually pay for them, right? So you don't have to spend any cash yourself, right? You can use the company's money, because companies have a budget for team bonding. It could be part of their CSR initiatives. CSR standing for corporate social responsibility. That's the kind of nonprofit stuff that the company does on the side to show that it is a good corporate citizen. It is a good social contributor. They do philanthropic stuff, and you can go out and be a strong voice, a strong and positive voice in the community. So team bonding activities can be organized, and you can actually still get to know your colleagues better. Another thing that you want to also do if you want to know your colleagues personally is to never get involved in controversial issues, right? You always want to give compliments, and you want to steer clear of controversial issues. This goes back to my earlier advice about not engaging. I mean, it is sort of related, right? It is analogous to my earlier tip and trick around not engaging in gossip and never speaking ill of a coworker. This is similar. This is analogous here. And what's analogous in this thing is that it has some karmic implications. I really to believe that you want to give compliments to people. Of course, honest compliments, right? The goal here is not to suck up to someone just because you're trying to find yourself admired here. People will always find out whether you are real or not. So give compliments that come from the bottom of your heart, that are real, and you want to steer clear of controversial issues, right? Controversial issues are things like politics. Everybody knows how politics always creates problems in the office. I think you've heard recently what happened to Google employees with a lot of stuff happening around politics. You want to stay clear. You want to stay away from those, from political topics. Things like religion is the second thing you want to steer clear of. Third thing is anything related to gender, anything relates to romance, anything relates to sex in the workplace. You want to stay away from those conversations. Sexual or orientation, anything related to that part of human biology, you want to stay clear. You want to steer clear of those conversations because you want to be a boss. You want to be seen as someone who is above the crowd, somebody who has a polished brand, both internally and in the industry. So you don't want to waste your time or political capital or professional capital on issues that are irrelevant. They have nothing to do with the office, nothing to do with the work, and are irrelevant anyway. Stay away from those controversial issues. I'll be right back right after this commercial break. Welcome back, folks, to another section of Sweetie Kiwi, the world's largest infotainment show. Can I say it again? The world's largest infotainment show. I like the way it sounds. The world's largest infotainment show. Awesome. It's just fantastic to still have you here. I want to ask you a question. Do you have tips and tricks to share with us about how to establish a better bond with colleagues? Put in the comment section, tell us how you were able to successfully establish bonds with your colleagues. What were easy, what were difficult, which kind of actions were easy and those who were difficult. We are always looking for best practices. Share the wealth, share the info with the community, the Sweetie Kiwi community. We thank you in advance. And also, while you are at it, don't forget to share. If you think someone right now is struggling with establishing better bonds at work, or someone wants to be promoted, has been stuck in a position for many years, please share this content with that person. You might save a life. Comment, share, like, subscribe, and we will love you back. The other thing I want to talk about when it comes to getting ahead at work, we talked about how to impress your boss without sucking up, right? We talked about how to gain admiration from your colleagues. Now I want to talk to you about how to get promoted faster. Who doesn't want to be promoted? By the way, speaking of promotion, when was the last time I was promoted? Was I ever promoted? That's just a little weird now. Now I have to think about it. But I bet you want to get promoted faster, don't you? Don't you? Don't you? I hear a big yes. That's good. To be promoted faster, you need to have a plan. And what I think is very interesting is that the best way to be promoted faster is to devise what I call a 5T plan. T standing for Thomas or tools. So the 5 T's really stands for tools, team, things, timeline, and tactics. Let me repeat that. The 5 T's stand for tools. What will you use to accomplish your promotion goal? The second T, team. Who will help you get promoted? The third T, the things. What specific goals you need to reach in order to be promoted? The fourth T, the timeline. After how many months do you want to be promoted? And the fifth and last T stands for tactics. How are you accomplishing the things you want to accomplish? Those are powerful elements you need to have in your promotion arsenal. If you want to clinch the promotion prize, fast. You need to have a plan. And this is what I call a 5T plan. I'm going to dig into them very quickly. The first thing I want you to think about here is you need to identify the tools you need to accomplish your goal. And we've talked about a lot of stuff so far in terms of tools, right? You can go with the flow by trying to make friends, to have allies in the office. Tools also those things for things like, you can have a little small spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, where you indicate your performance, your achievements, anything that will help you track your performances. It's always important. Now, we live in an era of artificial intelligence and applications and mobile intelligence, you name it. There are a lot of apps out there that you can download to track your performance at work. Now, I'm not going to name any app here because I'm not endorsing any particular one, but there are many. You just have to go to Google Play or iOS App Store, and just type career management or performance management, and you have tons of apps that allow you to track your performance. The second T stands for team. Now, who will get you promoted? You need to identify those champions, those people who will vouch for you at the right moment. This is why you need to have a plan. This is why you want to basically cultivate relationships with the right individuals. Remember earlier when I was talking about the fact that you don't have to be friendly with everybody in the office, all your colleagues. Pick 2 or 3, those whom you deem comfortable to talk to, those whom you deem comfortable to help you advance your career, right? Because if you can actually get closer to your colleague and having them helping you get ahead in life and in your career, that's even better. So identify the team who will get you promoted, the people who will be there for you. This includes your coach, your mentor, your boss, 2 or 3 top colleagues, a manager in another department, someone who has heard of you, of your hard work, and appreciates you for your stellar performance. Those are people, and you need to write down exactly the team. Don't give me this sort of excuse about, oh, well, I have them in my brain. No, because I don't trust your brain. I don't trust your memory abilities. I don't trust your cognitive abilities. I trust what you write down on a piece of paper. I'm not even asking you to type it in a Word document. I want you to write it down. Write it down. Write it down. The third thing is the third T is things. What are the specific goals you need to reach to be promoted? Now, if you remember earlier when I started the conversation around this topic, I said you want to always beat the expectations. Not always, but 70%, 80%, give or take. You want to always try to beat expectations. And this is why you want to write down whenever you beat expectations or you beat a deadline, you want to write it down. Those are specific goals, for instance, that can help you have a stronger case for faster promotion. Now, remember that there are a lot of stakeholders involved in the promotion, and that your manager, depending on your department, your manager is just one element in the complex network that will promote you ultimately. So the bottom line is that if you write things down, you can really ensure that your interests are aligned with the needs of various stakeholders. Stakeholders could be your direct boss, your boss's boss, the general manager of the entire department. You have the HR HR manager, who also has a big say in your career. The position itself, the position you're currently in, can also influence your promotion potential. So there is a host of stakeholders and processes that you have to cross to be promoted. That's why you want to document a lot of stuff. The timeline is the number 4 when it comes to the 5T plan. Timeline. So first is tools, then the team, the things, the timeline. The timeline is basically after how many months or years do you want to be promoted? I always ask people to say the timeline in months, because expressing the timeline in years is kind of depressing, right? I mean, can you imagine just writing down, I want to be promoted in 5 years? Good luck with that. As opposed to, I want to be promoted in 24 months or 18 months. It sounds closer. It sounds earlier. It gives a boost to your cognitive abilities. It puts you in a fighter mode. It doesn't put you in a flat mode, right? You always have the dichotomy. You have the dichotomy between fight or flight. And here, what we are trying to do is we are trying to be in the fight camp. We want to get away from the flight camp and go to the fighter camp, because it allows your brain to go into wonderful mode when it comes to how do I call this? To a super effective mode when it comes to cognitive abilities. So timeline always must be expressed in months. The last thing here is the last T in the 5T plan is the tactics. How are you going to accomplish the things you want to accomplish? Right? So you have things that you want to accomplish. Things stands for the third T. How are you going to execute the things you want to accomplish? For instance, does it mean you have to stay in the office until 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. on a Friday night? Does it mean you are coming to work on Saturday? Does it mean that you are actually foregoing vacation for the next 2 years? There are a couple of sacrifices that you have to do personally. And those sacrifices are part of the tactics you need to devise to reach your reach your goal. Now, those are the 5 T's. Now, there is one thing that I also want to mention on this topic, which is very important in my view, is the quintessential of any project, right? If you ask project management specialist or marketing specialist, they'll tell you there's something called a SMART goal. You want to make the 5 T's smart. You want to write a SMART manifesto. You want to sign it and put it somewhere you can see it every day. Let me just repeat that. In order to execute, to realize, in order to execute your 5T plan, I want you to write a SMART manifesto. I want you to sign it. I want you to buy a nice pen, sign it, and put it somewhere you can see it every day. Somewhere you can see this manifesto every single day. I'm not asking you to electronically sign the paper. No, I want you to print it out and sign it. And by doing that, you are moving closer again in establishing this rapport with yourself and your goal of being promoted. And the SMART, the acronym SMART here stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So you want to make the 5 T's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. On that note, we will be right back right after this. Welcome back, dear viewers and listeners and dear fans. I hope you are having fun with this conversation so far. I am just doing fantastic. I just enjoy speaking about career management. It's just so wonderful. It gives me goosebumps. I'm just blushing here. Whoa. The thing that's important here is that we have talked about how to impress your boss, how to gain admiration from your colleagues, how to actually be promoted faster, especially with the 5 T's. So I spoke about tools, team, things, timeline, and tactics. What I want you to do now, we want to go a little deeper into the 5 T's, what I call the 5 T nitty gritty. because it is so important that I believe it's just noteworthy for us to spend a little bit of time, a few minutes, on reviewing the 5T, what they stand for, and how you can actually implement them easily. That's the key word here. The key word is easy. Easy peasy. Easy peasy squeezy. We want to implement these things comfortably, confidently. We want to break down a very complex and convoluted process into smaller pieces. So how do you get promoted faster using the 5T? Here's the details. Now, the team, and I want you to start taking notes now, or I want you to hear this again over and over. The team. You want to identify and cultivate bonds with key helpers. I didn't call them people or staff. I call them helpers, because they are going to help you with your career. So you have your boss, your colleagues, the senior leaders, your mentors, and outside reviewers. Now, let me just take a little break and talk about outside reviewers. If you are in an industry that relies on outside review, for instance, if you are a financial analyst working at an investment bank and you cover a certain industry, your performance evaluation will be both endogenous but also exogenous. So you'll have a component that will come from your boss internally, but you will also have another component that will come from your performance as evaluated by financial media such as CNBC, Bloomberg, Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal. You will also be evaluated based by investors who rely on your advice to make investment recommendations, buy or selling stocks or bonds, or holding their current assets. So outside reviewers are very important. The same applies for salespeople. Some salespeople in certain situations are also bound by the reviews of external people. The same applies for politicians. If you work for a government agency, chances are your performance evaluation, depending on your position, your performance evaluation depends partially on exogenous evaluation, right? So outside reviewers, journalists, Congress, people whom you don't deal with on a daily basis, but whose decision, whose input, whose opinion matters a lot ultimately. Another thing you want to think about when it comes to the team is, I want you to start hanging around the right people. And you want to start hanging out with the right people also. Make your intentions known from the get-go. Get clarity around what's required to be promoted. And most importantly, you want to appoint a key champion to toot your horn. You want to have someone who will toot your horn at any time and who will say, you know what, this person is the best. He or she is the person to be promoted. And that person can be a senior leader. It could be your boss. It could be a mentor. If the mentor has sufficient clout in the industry, this is something that is totally possible. Another thing you want to think about here is tools. Now, tools involve things like social media, your LinkedIn profile, your personal website if you have one, news media mention, and the corporate intranet. You want to raise your profile on any of those platforms, and depending on your job, you can find a way to get to that goal. The third element here, the third T here is things. So, as I said before, you want to deliver above the requirement for promotion, right? If they say, listen, to be promoted, you have to do this, and this, 5 things. Well, guess what? You want to give them 7. They're asking for 5, right? Okay. Give them 7. So if you deliver more than anticipated, more than expected, if you go beyond expectations, you are on a strong path toward promotion. You want to make your accomplishment visible. You want to own projects from start to finish and take as many extra projects as possible. If you want to impress your boss and be promoted, take as many extra projects as possible. And the last thing is, which is a little controversial, but I think it makes sense. You want to make your manager's job obsolete. Of course, obsolete in a good way, in a positive way. So your boss, your manager will know that the department is in good hands when he or she is not in the office. Think about it, right? If your boss can be out of the office, can step out of the office and feel comfortable and confident that you will take care of things, that's just bonanza. That's promotion bonanza. You are already in the manager's role. You are promoted already. So that's the kind of mindset you have to think you got to have. Timeline. You want to set a realistic timeline. Remember earlier I said, you don't want to have 5 years as promotion targets, but at the same time, don't establish yourself as being promotable within 5 weeks, right? That will be nonsense. 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 No, you want to have something that is realistic, right? 18 months, 12 months, 24 months. Those are realistic, right? You want to ask for quarterly feedback. So you want to ask your boss, your boss's boss, every stakeholder involved in your promotion process. You want to ask for quarterly feedback. You want to review your own goals every month. Review your own goals. Remember I was telling you, you want to write them down. You want to write them down. Write them down. Make your timeline sync with the performance evaluation cycle, right? So if you want to be promoted in 18 months, make sure that the 18-month timeline period coincides with the PE cycle, the performance evaluation cycle. Most companies evaluate their employees around December, right? Or January. So make sure that your goals coincide with that. And the last thing here is get some intel on how fast other similarly situated colleagues have been or will be promoted. In other words, you want to find out exactly if other people who are at the same level as you in terms of hierarchy, how fast they have been or will be promoted. That gives you an idea of whether you are just being unrealistic or whether your aspirations are actually pretty decent, right? So that's very important. The last T here is tactics. So what are the things you have to do to basically get promoted? And I'm just breaking them down to you. I'm giving you very detailed action plans you can implement today to be promoted tomorrow. Because I want to see you in your next role, in a leader role, in a leadership role, ASAP, right? As soon as possible. Now, ASAP could be 18 months, 24 months, 3 years, but start the project today, to start the process today. Now, what are the tactics for you to clinch the promotion? First tactic is solo projects, your own task. Outperform. Department projects with direct colleagues. Corporate projects. I'm not talking about departmental projects, but projects that you undertake with other company staff that are not involved in your day-to-day work. You want to work on projects with rising stars within the company. Seek those rising stars and collaborate with them on important topics. The last thing you can do here is to work with consultants and corporate auditors on what I call transformative initiatives. You want to be the go-to person, not just on a trivial job. You want to be the go-to person on what? On things that are big, the biggies, right? Merger, acquisition, company-wide deployment of new software, new regulatory regulation being implemented. Those are the things. This is the big thing. Those are the things you want to focus on that will help you be promoted. Are we on the same page here? We want to shoot for the stars. We want to shoot for the moon. We want to shoot for the big things. And I'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another section of Sweetie Kiwi here, the Sweetie Kiwi Show, your favorite show, the world's largest and funniest infotainment show, but also kind of educational too, right? We're trying to have fun, but also pursue some noteworthy goal here. And we are talking today about a scientific approach to impress your boss, gain admiration from colleagues, be promoted quickly, and achieve industry recognition. And I want to talk to you about the way you can improve your personal brand and achieve industry recognition. We've talked about how to impress your boss, how to gain admiration from your colleagues, how to be promoted faster. But now I want to dwell a little bit on how to achieve industry recognition. But before we do that, I just want to quickly, again, give a shout out to wonderful viewers and listeners across the world. Today we want to acknowledge Nicholas Weiss in Helderman, Kentucky, Alexis Leonard in Glenview Manor in Kentucky, and we want to acknowledge Marilyn Fleming in Avawam in the great state of Kentucky. We love you. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your feedback and input. It's fantastic having you. If other viewers and listeners want to provide feedback, suggest new topics, we are always open. Put your comments in the comment section or send us an email. Share and subscribe our content. We always aspire to provide great content like this one, content that lifts you up professionally, personally, socially, and also financially. And we have great content coming every single day. So subscribe, like, share, comment, and we will love you right back. So where were we? How do you improve your personal brand? Now, the best way to do this is to expand your network. You want to expand your professional network. So the best way, there are several ways to get this done. And I'm going to give you 10. And I'm sure in those 10, you probably just need 2 or 3 or 4, a combo of those of 3 or 2 or 4 to sort of increase your professional network. You want to run a non-work related project inside the company. Number 2, you want to run a non-work related project outside the company. 3, you want to create a website and fill that website with impeccable content. I'm talking blog, images, videos, and you want to keep it professional and insert your resume on the website. This is basically a personal website. Nowadays, there are so many companies that offer web design. You can even create they have so many templates. You don't even need to hire someone, right? They take care of everything, the hosting, the template, everything. You probably just have to pay $20 or $15 a month or a year. I don't know, maybe $10 a month. But it is really worth it. It is an investment in your career. And what you want to do is you want to start posting data that relates to your job or to the job you are trying to get next. So, or even to the industry. Either way, keep it professional, because Google SEO engines will start, tagging you. And if you have some kind of inappropriate content around you, that could prove to be deleterious to your career. Polish your LinkedIn profile. If needed, pay a consultant, pay someone to polish and give you an impeccable LinkedIn profile. You, if possible, you want to create a YouTube channel. You're not doing this for celebrity purposes, but you want to display some kind of technical knowledge as well as communication and leadership skills. You want to show your potential employers, your future employers, whether it is in the company you work in right now or elsewhere, you want to show those people that you have strong communication and interpersonal skills or leadership skills. Be an active member of top professional bodies. Take part in industry events and networking sessions. Get to know people. Get out of your comfort zone, right? Another thing you can do is to run an employee group at work. So you can be this could be a local chapter of an industry body, right? For instance, if you have, I was talking earlier about if you have an organization in the, let's say, in the finance industry or the accounting industry, like the AICPA, which is for accountants, you can be the boss, you can be the leader of your company chapter of the AICPA, right? Or the local chapter of the AICPA. Those things allow you to be known in the industry. This sort of activities allow you to be known in the industry. Another thing you want to do also is to write and release articles in leading publications in your industry. Now, people think you have to be a journalist to write in major publications. No, you really don't. Because major publications have two types of contributors. They have the full-time journalists, and they have what they call contributors. So the full-time journalists are paid by the publications, but the part-time or contract contributors are not paid. They are not receiving any compensation. And most contributors do this to be able to have some kind of knowledge, some kind of power, some kind of ability. And this is very important in terms of your ability to get ahead. So write and release articles in leading publications. What was the noise that I was hearing in the back? Is anybody? Can you please just turn off the? Thank you. So where was I? I was talking about releasing articles in leading publications in the industry. So you can do this as a contributor. You don't have to be a journalist. Just make sure you know what you're writing about, what you're talking about. That could help you a lot. And the last thing here is to increase your media mentions. You want your media citations, right? You want to have quotes in the media. You want to have interviews with leading publications. You want to be buddy with some journalists. Those things really help. And those things will help you increase your personal brand and achieve industry recognition. After this, we'll be right back. I just want to take a quick break here, and I will be right back. Welcome back, folks, to another section. This is the final section of this wonderful discussion we've had today about career management, how to impress your boss, how to gain admiration from your colleagues, how to polish your brand recognition, your professional brand, and achieve industry recognition, and how to be promoted. Now, let's quickly get a recap here of the things that we have talked about today. To achieve those four things, again, you want to be liked by you want to impress your boss. You want to be liked by your colleagues. You want to be promoted fast, and you want to gain industry admiration, industry recognition, blah, blah, blah. What am I talking about here? Industry recognition. You need to do these things. You want to know your boss. You want to support your boss's priority. You want to control your image. You want to control your performance perception, which is very important. You want to help your colleagues professionally. You want to know your colleagues personally. You want to devise a 5T plan. Again, the 5T stands for team, tools, things, timeline, and tactics. And last but not least, you want to get into the 5T nitty-gritty. Oh, this is not the least. This was not the last. You want to get into the 5T nitty-gritty, and last but not least, you want to expand your professional network and basically achieve industry recognition. Now, This is very important. This has been a good conversation, a good discussion on an important topic. And I want to give you a call. I want to give a call to action. I'll have your best interest at heart. Now, we all know the popular quotes that says information is power. And some people even say that a little child knows, even a little child knows, right? Now, this saying may be powerful, but nowadays it has become a cliche. For me, information is certainly power, but action is omnipotence, is all powerfulness. It is supremacy. Things start happening when you act. Doing things is what moves the world. Doing things is why you are currently where you are. And doing things will be the number one reason why you will reach the destination you want to reach. Act today and start moving your life in the right direction. To get you started, here are a few things I recommend you do. Sign up for a professional network and attend their very first event if you haven't already done so. Hire a career coach to help you redefine or define your goals and write or rewrite your resume and or LinkedIn profile. Set a SMART goal for yourself at work. At work, SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And the last thing you want to do is find 3 co-workers with whom you can cultivate and establish stronger bonds. This is very important, and this will help you move your career forward. On this, I would say, oh yeah, the pro tip. This is a pro tip that we always give at the end. There is a tip that you want to do, and here is it. But you know what? Let's just take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm glad that you are still here for today's pro tip. Here you have it. You want to be exceptional. To be promoted, you want to be exceptional. You want to raise other team members' performance. Steer away from office gossip and politics. You want to show that you can solve customer issues, not just your colleagues' issues or your boss's issues, but you can solve customer issues. And the last pro tip here is you want to attract, manage, and retain top talent. You want to attract, manage, and retain top talent. And this is what's going to help you impress your boss, gain admiration from your colleagues, be promoted fast, and achieve industry recognition. Thank you. It has been wonderful. Have a wonderful time. I love you. Have a marvelous time. Stay marvelous. And I will see you next. Thanks.